Welcome to the Literary World Book Club. My name is Liesel, and I'm founder of the Literary World. The Literary World is a social media platform that connects readers, writers, publishers, and authors all in one single place. This month, we're reading The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. Come along and join us. Thanks for joining us on this book group meeting. Mona, tell us a little bit about you. You've just joined. Where are you coming in from?
I'm coming from Cairo. The internet is not, yes, it's not very great in Egypt these days. I've worked as a librarian for 9 years. I've always been an avid reader. I love reading, and I'm particularly fascinated by this book. I haven't had the chance to finish it yet, but I love the characters. I love the author. I love how vivid it is. And I've always enjoyed reading fiction.
That goes for me as well. Not that I'm from Egypt, but I'm from the Netherlands. I'm an English to Dutch translator. I translate books, and my love of books brings me here today.
Great. And Thomas?
Hi there. I come to you from Canada. I am an aspiring writer. I just graduated Sheridan College last year, and although I have not read this book, I'm excited to be pitched to it.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm so glad you all managed to join us this evening. And I have to say, I know you're not supposed to say you love this book, but I loved it. Really, I did. It's the one thing you're not supposed to say in a book group, but I have structured some questions because otherwise we're just going to sit around and tell each other how fantastic the book is. So, without any further ado, I am going to ask you just a few questions, and we just gave the discussion. I'm just curious to see why it is that everybody really loves this book. You know, she won. She's in the top 10 of the New York Times bestselling. She made the top 10 bestselling list in the New York Times, and she won the 2021 the book prize for the Women's Prize. And she's just so brilliant. I thought her style was fantastic. Her characters were well developed. The storyline believable, so sympathetic, so interesting. But that's my perspective. So I'm just interested in how you all experienced it and what you got out of it. There are definitely central themes that I noticed. I'm interested. Mona, aside from loving the book, which we wanted, tell us what you thought.
Pretty much what you have said. What strikes me as, which is incredible, is the research she did for this book. I mean, we always hear about the racism that African Americans have faced, but to be passed as white is something we've never thought of, and how hard it is. So she did some incredible research, and
I think we're struggling connection because you said some interesting. You're talking about the research. I agree. The research was incredible,
and this is why the characters seem so lively. So you'd think that she's not writing fiction, that she's writing a true story. This did happen at some point. Now, I haven't researched anything beyond that. She's probably the same age as me, but well deserved of any awards that she was awarded for this book. The style, the flow of the book is quite very smooth and easy read. I would highly recommend it to everyone.
And you, Joe, what did you think about the characters, how she managed to create such an incredible, the atmosphere, the development? How did you experience it?
Yeah, I think that was really wonderful. I did struggle a bit at the beginning because I tried to listen to the first chapters of the book instead of reading. I always try to mix that up, but that was quite a lot of information, and it took me a while to get into the story at the beginning. But I love the way she writes about the complexity of family bonds and the nuance, the emotional depth of the characters, and the way she looks at race and identity. I think she tried to portray that, or she portrayed that in an incredible way. I loved her style of writing as well.
Yeah. And what about, because it was, she's who you are, who you want to be, and how the society shapes you. And those were her central themes. I think one of the things that really struck me as being so interesting was I could literally see all the characters. I could see them. They could have been my friends. I could have been in Mallard. I could have been, Stella. I could have been one of Stella's friends. And how she was not accepted, she was not accepted. How Stella really worked hard to try and get into the groups and stuff. And she just couldn't. She lived with her secret, and she was never really accepted, and she couldn't accept herself. And it was so brilliant And the last part when she left, and she didn't even leave, she left in the morning because she knew she would stay in my life.
I think it's recognizable. I think there's something we can recognize in all of the characters, bits and parts
yeah.
still apply to all of us, I guess.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And it was for the 50s, 60s, 70s, right? Right up there, those 30 years, that period. The descriptions that she got, and yeah. So what about, how do you think that how did it expand over time? In other words, there was a 30-year period. How did we see that? I guess it wasn't what we said, it was the research and it was the description and how she captures it, really. That's how I saw it. Because it was really quite a period of time that she managed to squeeze into 385 pages.
Yep.
And what about her friends? I mean, Stella, nobody knew. I mean, she pulled it off so brilliantly, being a person of color and originally, right? It's incredible. In the 50s, all the way through. And her husband didn't know, or at least we don't know that he knew. Let's put it that way. And Thomas, does this start to resonate with you a little bit, this book?
Based on what I'm hearing, I'm slowly becoming more and more interested. I looked at my shelf right now, and I guess it's kind of similar to the serious fiction I would expect from Jhumpa Lahiri. Am I right in my guess?
Imperial Lahiri. No, I would not make that comparison. I was
Not at
thinking
all?
about that. I was thinking today, what does it compare to? That was the comparison, but I haven't really. Does anybody have any idea? Does anybody else have any comparison? Because I couldn't think of anything. But it didn't come to me as Imperial Lahiri. No, not for me, anyway. Does anybody else have a comparison?
I'm trying to remember the name of the author, but then again, she talked about interracial marriage. She didn't talk about because this is very specific. This is people who come from both cultures, white and black. So I'm trying to remember her name. I think she's a British author. Maybe this is somewhat similar to her with terms of coming into identity and culture.
Yeah. Yeah. And she hasn't written anything. I think everybody must be asking her to write again.
Yes, yes. She has an incredible style.
Okay. And so what was the thing that struck you the most? I think Jude. I like Jude. I thought she was the most interesting out of all the characters. That was my favorite.
I don't know. I like Stella so far. She's the most interesting in the twins, but I haven't read the last 70 pages, so I don't know where so I just interrupted my reading to get it into this discussion, but I like Estelle so far. She's my favorite.
Yeah. Okay. So, and you, Joe, who was your favorite?
I agree. Jude was really interesting.
Such an interesting, I could see her, interesting character. And if we have to summarize this book, into one central theme, well, what would you say, Joe?
Wow, that's a good question. That's quite difficult. I don't know. Could I do that in one sentence? A compelling look at race, identity, and complexity of family bonds, something like that.
Yeah, that's what I came up with as well. But I also came up with, just as I said from the beginning, it is about society. It's about making yourself, how you carry yourself through in society and how you want people to see you in society and how society shapes that.
Absolutely.
Definitely the central theme on this whole book. Really fantastic. Super. And you, Mona, what is your central theme here?
How everything is a pattern. Like you have black and white, you have poor and rich, you have small town, big city. I love this comparison, compare and contrast. That theme that keeps on going, and it's visually and beautifully written through each POV of each character, going back and forth in time, going back to just describe. So you get it's a wholesome yet full of comparisons and comparing and contrasting. So it feels well balanced, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, the comparison was
the author I was telling you about is Zadie Smith. I just remembered her name. Maybe a bit.
I think you're right, actually. It does hold a bit of a Zadie Smith. That for me is quite you're absolutely right about that. Yeah, you're right. White teeth. I think she wrote,
Yes.
I think, that's a very good comparison. Well, this is my first book group on the online book group. I used to have an English bookshop, and then we used to have the discussions inside the English bookshop. So this is somewhat of a change.
Maybe we can ask people to join for next time.
Oh, I'd love that. And I have selected another book, which I finished reading, which is superb. It is called The Safekeeper by Yale van der Waarden. And it's translated from English to Dutch, and she won all the book prize. She was a runner-up in the book prize. So it's really a fantastic. I finished reading it a couple of weeks ago, and it's a really, really good read. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I would love you all to join. I will make a little, if you like, I can make a little group, and then we can. I've set it for the end of June because I know that everyone's really busy, and then we've got a little bit of time to read the book, and then it's not every month because otherwise I think the pace is too high. But I would love it if you join me again and we could build on this.
Okay, no problem. I can tell a couple of people here in Cairo. Hopefully, the internet connection will be better, and we get
That would be
to have a
fantastic.
face-to-face discussion.
Yeah, super.
Sort of, or a virtual discussion. But I think people would be interested. I would definitely recommend this book to my friends.
Great. All right. Thank you so much for joining our discussion. It was great. The next book is The Safekeeper. We're going to be reading that on the 25th of June. Come and join us and sign up on the Literary World, www.literaryworld.com. We have groups, we have meeting places, and join us for the next discussion. See you there.